With the new plan, there will be income limits. So here's the income limits. Basically, if you're single, $150,000 for the previous year. If you're married, $300,000 for married couples filing jointly. So, one of the benefits of being married is that even if one spouse is not necessarily bringing in income, listen, this is not a marriage debate. I'm just giving you the facts of what we're learning as this thing continues to show itself. What's going on is Anton from AntonDaniels.com. I appreciate you guys for continuing to rock with me. I'm out here in LA taking care of some business right now, so you're going to see a little bit of a different background as far as the different videos that's dropping right now. But I've been keeping my finger on the pulse of what's been going on politically, because what happens politically affects us financially. And I'm going to share my screen with you guys really quickly. It says plans to forgive $10,000 in student debt per borrower announced by the Biden administration. And so I want to go over this really quickly with you guys so that we can mine out and find out exactly what the details of this is, because you may be affected by what's going on, and I want you to be able to make some more informed decisions. I'm going to be honest with you. I never expected for this to even be a thing in the first place. I knew that there was going to be some cancellations. I knew that Biden was going to forego or forgive student loans for some people, such as people that were going to some of these fraudulent universities, these fly-by-night universities. The hey man, I know you're sitting on your couch, and I knew that that was going to happen. I knew that there was going to be reform when it came to people that were seeking forgiveness as a result of working in public institutions after their degree, and then you get on an income based repayment, and then that's forgiven, and so on and so forth. I knew that they needed to fix the paperwork for that, but I did not expect for them to even remotely even consider foregoing or forgiving what people were advocating for, which is at least $50,000, or even be able to entertain the possibility of giving $10,000 in student debt forgiveness. But let me go over some of the details with you guys. So it says, is it finally on the way? According to a report by the Washington Post, the Biden administration plans to cancel $10,000 in student debt per borrower. The move would be consistent with the president's campaign promise in 2020. Now, here's the thing that people are complaining about. Some people were very, very diligent and being responsible and taking care of their business and saying, you know what, I'm going to pay off my student loans. I'm going to make sure that things are taken care of. I'm not going to run in the victim Olympics. I'm going to be responsible. I took out the student loans. I need to pay it back, so on and so forth, right? And then you have people on the other side of the aisle that's going to say, well, I do want to run in the victim Olympics, and I am expecting for them to borrow because it wasn't my fault and I didn't know and blah, blah, blah. I didn't know I was getting a basket weaving degree and it cost me this much money, so on and so forth, even though they signed the paperwork. And then you're going to have people in the middle. Listen, I was willing to pay it off, but if they're going to give it to me, I'm going to take it. So that's the political spectrum right now. You're going to have House Republicans that are lobbying against it, but because the Democrats hold the majority, it's going to be an exercise in futility. All right. So let's go on. It says with the new plan, there will be income limits. So here's the income limits. Basically, if you're single, $150,000 for the previous year. If you're married, $300,000 for married couples filing jointly. So one of the benefits of being married is that even if one spouse is not necessarily bringing in income, listen, this is not a marriage debate. I'm just giving you the facts of what we're learning as this thing continues to show itself. $150,000 in the previous year for those who are looking for forgiveness. So if you really got to the bag and you didn't get a victim Olympics degree or whatever, largely you're still responsible and on the hook for the entire amount. And I guess this is the real debate, right? The real debate is, if you do it the right way and you take care of business, why am I being punished and having to support other people that do not do what they're supposed to do in order for you to be able to pander and get votes? It's not a fair system. It never will be a fair system. But then other people on the other side of the aisle will say, well, it's unfair that you make all of the money and then you don't pay the majority of the taxes, which we all know that people in the 1.5 and the 1% pays the majority of the taxes. Neither here nor there. But two people told the Washington Post a study by the New York Federal Reserve economists for giving $10,000 per student would amount to $321 billion of federal student loans and eliminate the balance for almost 12 million people, or 1/3 of borrowers. Let me say that again. 11.8 million borrowers, that's the entirety, their entire student loans will be wiped out. Or 31%, almost a third of everybody that's holding student loans. My wife, laying over there in the bed, having a good time, spending her time in LA, just living leisurely, flying first class, and all of that. She had, I don't know, I think it was like $12,000 in student loans. Just paid them all off, right? Did the responsible thing, did not wait for the interest to accumulate, did not live, in the victim Olympics and so on and so forth. And should we be compensated for that, considering that they're just giving out free money? Or is it because I'm a high earner, I have to eat that? There is no retroactive activity that goes into it that would allow me to be able to recoup that or get that from a tax perspective. As a matter of fact, they're trying to raise taxes on people like me so that they can then pay for people to be able to get their student loans forgiven. Cool. I guess I don't have any recourse for that. Biden was reportedly going to announce the move at University of Delaware's commencement this weekend, but decided to hold off with respect to the elementary school shooting in Texas. That was the whole Uvalde thing. It says there's a current pause on federal. We already know that. Resume is going to come up soon. Senate Republicans have planned to introduce a bill to stop President Biden's efforts to forgive any type of student loan debt. So Senate Republicans are saying, yo, it's your responsibility. Not only that, this is a major source of income for the federal government. And we not just going to be giving away free money and throwing away all of the everything, because we know inflation is out of control and we don't want to. There's no fair way to assess this. There's no fair way to implement this. There's no fair way that you can pitch this other than the idea that this is largely the majority of the people that support you or vote for you, which allows for you to then say, I delivered on my campaign promise and I am forgiving student loans, so on and so forth. So again, the biggest thing for me is just to give you the news and give you some insight into what's going on, right? They are looking to forgive federal student loans. And this is what's actively being worked on inside of your legislative branches. So one thing that I can say, or one thing that I will say, is that Biden is delivering on a campaign promise. I have to be consistent. I have to call it even on both sides objectively and say, hey, this is the thing that he said. He didn't do it in the time frame that he said that he was going to do it, but he did. He did do it, right? It didn't come at the time that you said that you wanted it, but I'm guessing it's coming on time before he unfreezes the pause and all of this other type of stuff, right? So I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Do you think that this is fair? Do you think that it should be extended to everybody, or it should be based off of the income limits? Because from my perspective, it seems like the people that work the hardest, the people that grind the most, the people that pay the most taxes are the ones that always get punished. And then we have to make sure that we take care of those less fortunate. In my opinion, a lot of them are running in the victim Olympics. But again, I'm curious as to what your thoughts are. Again, Biden is looking to forgive federal student loans up to $10,000 per person. And the word, a little birdie in my ear told me that that may not even be the end of it. So again, make sure you subscribe to the Patreon. In a couple days, we got part 4 of building a brick and mortar business that's already been posted inside of the Patreon. I have a Patreon exclusive video dropping tomorrow also. And then last but not least, we're also going to be announcing where we're having the Patreon exclusive meetup. And that is coming very, very soon. If you need to kick it with me personally, go to my website, antondaniels413@gmail.com. You can email me at that email address, or you can go to my website and click the email link, and it'll launch a email client for you to be able to send me a message. I'm going to get you scheduled, and we're going to make sure that we're not depending on the federal government in order to make sure that our stuff is taken care of. I love you. I appreciate you. Again, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. I'm going to talk to you later. Peace.